Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt. I'm chairing today's panel. Joining me on the panel are Linda McFadden and Richard Whitbread. Our assessor today is Clayton Deitchen, and our administrative personnel is Fran Picotto. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I'll confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 7 on our docket today. Ms. Picotto, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Clayton Deitchen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Ayrton Neufeld.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, Mr. Deitchen and Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Neufeld, before we begin, I just want to confirm that for all matters, you are appealing the total annual rental value of these properties.
That is correct, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then, Mr. Deitchen, let's start with item 1, file number 24-5135. This is 1717 Waverly Street, Unit 300. If you can begin, please.
This is file number 24-5135, roll years 2025. Address is 300-1717 Waverly Street. The business assessment ID is 35873. You can see that it is one premise, 18,748 square feet, at a total ARV of 323,160. It is a car dealership. And yeah, we are seeking confirmation on this property, and from my understanding, the applicant is as well. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld.
No questions, thank you.
And Mr. Neufeld, will you be seeking confirmation for this property?
For this file, yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread or Ms. McFadden, any comments?
None, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Neufeld, did you want to add anything more?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude item 1. Item number 2. File number 24-5140. This is 1717 Waverly Street, Unit 400. Mr. Deitchen.
Yeah, this one's file number 24-5140, Rollers 2025. Address is 400-1717 Waverly Street. The business assessment ID is 52218. And again, this is a car dealership, 15,290 square feet at a total ARV of $267,000 that we are seeking confirmation. And that's my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld.
No questions. No questions. Thank you.
And Mr. Neufeld, are you seeking confirmation on this
Yes.
file also?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. McFadden?
I have none, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Neufeld, did you wish to add anything further?
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes item 2. Item 3. This is file number 24-5156, 1717 Waverly Street, Unit 500. Mr. Deitchen.
Yeah, this one's file number 24-5156, Rollers 2025. The address is 500-1717 Waverly Street. Business assessment ID 39472. Again, this is a car dealership, 14,340 square feet at a total ARV of $254,940 that we are seeking confirmation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld.
Questions seeking confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
I have none, thanks.
Thanks. Ms. McFadden.
I have none, thank you.
Okay. And Mr. Neufeld, would you like to add anything further?
Oh, thank you. That's great.
Okay, thank you. That concludes item 3. Okay, item number 4. This is file number 24-4969, 1717 Waverly Street, Unit 520. Mr. Deitchen.
So yeah, this one is file number 24-4969. The Rollers 2025 address is 520-1717 Waverly Street. Business assessment ID is 24148. Oops, sorry. There's one premise. It is 16,134 square feet at a base ARV of 1524. With occupancy costs, it brings the ARV to 289,440. The bottom of page 1, you can see a little bit of information about the property. The 2020 BA was appealed and confirmed. 23 was appealed and confirmed. It is a dealership built in 2014. And then let's go into a little bit more. Page 2 is just an overhead view of the subject. Page 3 is just an exterior photo. And then going into my page 4, comparables are the VCD rent comparables. So these are the retail comparables that we use for vehicle car dealerships. Mainly looking at the properties at 27 to 41 are in close proximity, about 10-ish minutes away, so not the closest, but the main ones looking at 42 to 60, I would say. The Sterling Line, Kennison, McGilvery properties on page 6, and you can see that the average rent is $21.51 with a weighted average of $20.91 and a median of $20.31. And continue on to page 8 is just the snippet from the municipal board order that essentially states that car dealerships can be used in comparison with retail properties. Sorry, it's hard to read in the small red boxes there. That the board accepts the argument that auto malls and the agglomeration of auto dealerships located in the different sectors of the city result in the auto mall having characteristics similar to regional retail with national rather than local tenants. The board is satisfied that the subject is similar, although not identical, to large national and international retail properties located in or near regional shopping facilities. And then continuing on, on pages 9 and 4 are just the income and expense mailers. And that is my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, questions?
Yes, please. The municipal board order there, what was the subject property? Did it have a garage with the subject?
Did it have a which, sorry?
Like a service space?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. And it appears the second box you have clicked there, they then right after the box, it says it uses a capitalization of 10.5%. Is that, am I reading that right? So it seems like they were using this as a rationale to determine a cap rate. We're not discussing cap rate here, but that's significantly higher than what's been applied. Is that fair to say?
I'm not too sure what was applied. This is also from 2003, so I'm not really looking at the cap rate that was applied.
So I think it's just that you follow the logic of what it's doing is that it's establishing a cap rate with these characteristics. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but I think in determining cap rate, things like rent, vacancy, shortfall, and such is all factored into that as well.
So your rents here, these are all retail, you said, right?
Yeah. Some of them are fitness. There's a couple fitness and one, I think.
Gyms, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are any of them service based or like driving in with working on cars or any sort of usage of them?
No.
Okay. And the subject does have at least half of it is a service bay, is that correct?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Is the subject is less than a little less than half of it is a service bay, is that correct?
That's correct. But I would say that
Um,
retail properties have warehouses and such that are similar to service space.
Do the subject properties have warehouse spaces? The subject lease it? Sorry.
Mr. Neufeld, you are breaking up every once in a while, so I'm having a hard time.
Is that at all better?
We'll see.
I'm not. I think it's the echo canceling probably.
Oh, that's better, I think.
That is better. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah. So sorry. My question was, do these spaces here have retail spaces, warehouse spaces as large as the subject, or is a similar split?
I don't know the exact sizes, but I would say most would have some sort of warehouse storage spaces.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Ms. McFadden, any questions for the assessor?
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread.
Thank you. I'm looking at your board order. Do you have a date on this order?
That one was from 2003.
2003.
Yeah.
And is there another order that kind of is causing a controversial in the assessments of these properties, a second order that found differently than this order?
I've heard about another order, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
You didn't choose to look it up and include it with this evidence then? I can't find it anyway.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so this order is favorable to your position on using retail establishments for your comps. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's what I have in my evidence state. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'll leave it there for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Deitchen, was this the base ARV per square foot? Was that the rate that was used in the realty?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I have no additional questions either. Mr. Neufeld.
You. Subject is 520-1717 Waverly. We value these all very similarly. The front portion, there's some argument that the retail actual leases would apply to the front portion, but then you got to look at the back, which is it's just an industrial building. they're working on cars in there. You can see in my page 5. It's the best shot we have of it. Exposed ceiling. It's concrete flooring, the drain in the middle. It's just essentially no different than a car wash. Of course, there's no water in it, so it would have a long, stronger life expectancy, but it is set up with the car base, drive in, and similar to a car wash without the water. The going through the pictures there, I mean, the city's putting 1524 in this entire space, including as on this page 6, and the shop on page 5 again, and then the mechanical areas and storage through 7. We felt as though it should be broken up. We didn't. We applied a more of a we applied the blended rent, as that it was the simplified way of doing it the same, but we're not looking at $20 rents for the whole thing. We're looking at maybe the higher rents in the front, but then you're the rents that are about half in the back. I did do a Google area measurement on page 9 of what the shop would roughly be, and it's about 7,000 square feet. And of course, the shops can't be air conditioned. You'll see again on my page 5, you've got makeup air there. Those are ventilations to get the exhaust in and out or out. You can't air condition a space when there's good overhead fans like that sucking all the air out. It's just not something that you can do to a comfortable occupancy for an air conditioned space for a business tax. We did deduct that area. And then again on my page 10, this was a decision on the Point West Auto Mall. The breakup on 11, breakdown on page 11, using an average of 12. And that's really what we applied. Similar style auto malls. On my page 12, the 1056 Nairn, that third rent there, that's a former dealer that went to a COVID testing site. That was kind of a creative use they had for it. And it was a 1-year lease at $13. Now, of course, when you have a 1-year lease, typically you're paying more than the 5-year lease, which is a standard market transaction. And so that 13, if it was for 5 years, it's reasonable to expect it would be something 12 or under. So that does support our argument there. 231 Oak Point, I was looking at, and it should be updated. We do have newer rents. It went up to $850 on the next cycle. Or sorry, a step up at $850. And then there's no basement here, so you can ignore those. And then to page 14, more automotive service, where you get a range. Boyd Auto at $850. That would be similar makeup to this, not as nice at the front, which is why we were at 12. You're not getting a showroom in that, but it's a similar style building without the nicer showroom. And then you get rents as low as $794, $799, $810, $7. That's the same one again. Ignore that. But those kind of represent that lower quality space that you're seeing in the back there. And then when we have things like on my page 15, you get something like 1520 Region at Leon's Furniture. That's sort of the more warehouse retail style that it is there for customers, and that's closer to what we're seeing, what we're interpreting at the front. Princess Auto is a good one too. I think Princess Auto would be fair. Some of those are a bit older, but we are kind of taking a snapshot of as many leases as we can that are applicable. One I do like to bring forward, number 22 on page 15 and 23. These are Caniston Trans-Canada Brewing. Half of that's a restaurant and half of that's a brewery. Similar kind of to what we're doing here with the basic industrial where they're brewing beer, and then a bit nicer finish where they're serving it. I think that's really the crux of the argument. We are at $12. The city's 1524. All of these, most of our auto malls are under appeal. This one here was missed for the realty. They got it to us too late, and we didn't get a chance to file. But I think especially when you're dealing with equity of business assessments, which we do want to, I'll just read out. Very last page, page 27, section 1716 of the charter, determining annual rental value for purpose of business assessment. Assessor shall determine the ARV by such method or in such manner that the ARV determined by the assessor is fair and just in relation to ARVs assigned to other assessable properties. The argument comes and goes a lot for equity. Potentially, when they're similar style businesses, they should be assessed the same, and it is sort of for business taxes when you say we aren't comparing assessments, but there is something in the act that does essentially allow us to, not heavily because we are still just valuing them the same way, and that's how it's being represented. But when I mentioned my page 10 and 11, there is also the added of concept of equity, that they should be equitably assessed across everything the same asset class, and that's at 12 similar age and style buildings. My final value with a reduced IC to take out the shop area is 234,630. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Deitchen, questions for Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, a few. I guess going back to the fact that you were kind of splitting it up into two separate buildings, I guess, or portions. Kind of what I was touching on your page, I guess 15, you look at things like Leon, Staples, the brick, they would have a showroom floor, warehouse, loading docks. Would that not be similar to a car dealership that has a showroom floor and then the service area?
Well, I don't think a loading dock is exactly compared to a service area. You got to remember too, a service area, it's working with parts, it's working with oil. It's rough, much rougher than a loading dock. And again, too, a lot of these, like when you're talking Leon's and the brick, the whole area is essentially a warehouse. So the loading dock is a small portion there, and then it goes onto the floor for a showroom.
Right,
You're not like like even in a Walmart, essentially, they have a small area, everything like that. When we're talking about something with such a large service area, you'd be similar to something more like an industrial warehouse style. You're not seeing huge portions of those buildings being lower quality, like the subject. And two, it's not. Again, where service bays are much rougher than just typical warehousing.
Right. I guess I'm not going to belabor it, but like most of these would have a warehouse area that would store their stock. Like they don't put all the stock on the showroom floor. That would have minimal finishes and such.
Well, I mean, a Leon's does have everything on the floor. Brick does too. Brick has a separate, different unit for some of their lower, like their stock too. But these are warehouses that, show the stock rooms are not huge in the back. Staples would have everything up to two. You see people loading up all the product right onto the floor as they come in. You see multiple times. They will have a loading bay, but it's not half the building.
I guess looking at your page 10, 11, you kind of touched on it quickly, and you applied, well, it looks like you applied $12. Was this solely based on this page 11 workup from TGS Realty?
No, I mean, we use the same rents and we use the same arguments. We're basically arguing all the same thing. So to say it's solely no, we might have had a slightly different rent applied, but we did apply 12 because of this decision, as we felt it was a good decision.
So you're saying that these buildings are the exact same and you applied 12. Did you?
No, not the exact same, but very, very similar. And 12 is, these ones are, the Waverly Auto Mall is a bit newer, but nothing that would really garner much rent. In similar style areas where there are auto malls, virtually every dealer in the vicinity, and then a similar front style with a showroom and portions at service bays.
Okay, so did you use your rent comparables then to apply rent? Like, did you take it?
Yes, no, absolutely, and that's why I went through them just now. I mean, we're not ignoring. It's just the decision that was made at the rent. I think we were at like 1150 on this one before, and then once we saw the decision at 12, we thought that was a fair decision, and it should see some parity across it. So we were comfortable with it. Like I said too, like the one comp that paid 12 at 1066 Marion was heavily considered. That's $13 for a year, and that's a former Hyundai dealership.
Okay. I guess that goes into my next question. I see a lot of, well, there's month to month, there's expired leases, there's year to year, there's some that are from 2005. Do you have any updated leases, and like would this affect your rent applied if you had these updated leases and more accurately?
No, the older leases are mostly there for just for support. That's what the market doing, how it's changing. Not that it was doubling to
Okay.
$15. Yeah, I mean I touched the ones I touched on. I brought up were closer in age to the reference group. I wouldn't rely very heavily on that. 475 at 2011. I wouldn't
But
be relying on 2005 having, and of course 1700 Waverly at $11. That was that's an occupant. So
you touched on 1066 Nairn a few times, and it's year to year in 2020. That's a few years prior to the reference date.
yeah, no, I mean the idea being that this is what happens when these auto malls go vacant. This is an example of it. The best it got was a 1 year lease during a pandemic.
I guess, and looking at your industrial rental rates, were these considered in the rent applied?
Yeah, no, they definitely form part of the argument for our rear portion. None of these are exactly like these small industrials aren't perfect, but this is similar style, more industrial to the rear portion. So there is some relevance, of course, and
Okay.
they're showing that industrial markets and lower quality builds, other than none of these are flex warehouses. So warehousing, large warehousing, or smaller industrials are going for as low as 725, 650.
Okay. And looking at a lot of these, like 1066 Nairn and such, not a lot of them are close in proximity to the subject, correct?
No, the issue with that, you say like we always say location, location, right? But these are auto malls that are designed specifically for its purpose. If you stop selling cars tomorrow, a lot of these go vacant for the same reason, but you're not going to see them immediately repurposed to retail, like we were saying. Like we're if for sake of argument, again, car dealerships are not are a thing of the past. We stop focusing on that. It goes to online. A very possible thing that we've been looking at forever. Um, all of these go dark at the same time. You're not getting the Brick and Leon's and all of them to move into these spaces to use them. This is going to be, a problem area. And of course, the best thing to do is to get the location as close as we can. But even when we're looking at, I looked at some rents on Kenniston, with them on Waverly. Those locations are vastly different than the subject. So yes, it's better than rents on Regent because it's closer, but we're kind of looking at rents of alternate uses, and that's it's not you're not going to, unless you get one directly in the auto mall that's not being used for that purpose and it's not tied to a dealership, then you're not going to find a perfect comp for any location factors.
I guess my last question then, would you agree that retail is probably the closest comparable to VCDs?
Not fully. I mean, realistic again, back on what I'm saying, if all this goes at dark, we've got a lot of parking. You might see some repurposed to office. You might see some stay as vehicle service. You're not driving cars into retail like this. It's tricky to say what exactly these are because they're their own thing. Don't think there's no merit to treating front portions as retail. I think that's what we basically did too. The whole thing is not focused to retail. No, not all. Or sorry, the service bays are closer to pure industrial. So half pure industrial, half sort of retail, I think would be the most accurate answer to that question for me.
I guess my last question was just regarding the AC. How did you calculate the area?
Yeah, that's not perfect. I know that the service bay is not calculated, so it isn't. I didn't have the floor plans. I didn't get them in time. Page 9, you can see how I did it, and it would be give or take for sure. But I mean, the service space can't be air conditioned like typical office or retail. And assessment is over assessing for sure. So when we're looking at burden of proof, my proof isn't identical perfect, but it is on you on the assessor to prove that it's wrong. And that's unfortunately as close as I got for today.
That's all my questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Deitchen. Mr. Whitbread, questions for Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, thank you. So if I look at your air conditioning at 9,076, you say that's a rough number. I understand that, but it's still more than sorry, that would be your service area, wouldn't? Or
Sorry,
that
this
would be retail.
the 9,000 would be the retail portion. Yeah,
Yes.
so then it'd be
So
about 7,000 in service.
Yeah, it's bigger than the
A little bit bigger, yeah.
And then
It's,
that's normal, isn't it? Normally? You have
Yeah.
that 60-40 split?
50, 60, 40 to sometimes 50, 50. It varies, but it is within 60, 40 would be typical. Yeah.
And so what I'm interpreting then from what I'm hearing, and more so from the questions posed to you by the assessor, is that you've used a blended rate. That $12 is a blended rate of a higher rate for the retail and a lower rate for the service area. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. And of course, I could have broken it out and done unblended. I think we're just it's kind of a moving process with what we're doing. I think in the municipal board cases to come, it'll kind of be done both ways to sort of contrast it. Essentially, though, we're looking at one contiguous unit that rents for an average of 12. But again, you could go to 16 and 8 or something of that nature, and 16, 9, 15 and 9. I don't know exactly how it would math out because we haven't done it this time, but we have in the past. And I think right now, because that what we're looking at it right now is just a lower blended rate for simplicity.
Yeah, and that's supported by Mr. Smith's evidence that you provided, I think, somewhere along here. I can't find the page right off.
11 is the two of the, all of those were decided at the same way. And I just showed 2 of the workups because on page the bottom of 11. Yeah.
Yeah, so just help me understand, what is unit 20 and
Unit
40?
20 and 40. They are both auto mall dealers. Just quickly.
Full service dealers, a retail parts service.
Essentially the same makeup as the subject.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. No, they are front portion autoballs. Some of them are side. But you were dealing with about 60-40 showroom and service base with these ones as well. This is Point West Auto Mall if you've been in there. Virtually the same idea as Waverly Auto Mall.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then my last point on page 12, I'm looking at those rent comparable C9. I'm sorry. Is this the industrial or the commercial?
Sorry, that will I be touching them on. That's just a copy paste from 1400 Kennison. Those are basement rents, so they're not relevant for this
Okay, I was wondering.
subject. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Ms. McFadden, any questions?
So for clarification, did I hear you say that this was not appealed during the realty cycle?
Correct. Yeah, they got it to us too late. We missed it before the deadline.
So is that consistent with what the evidence of the assessor is, that the Board of Revision upheld the realty?
No, sorry. The assessor, if you're looking at his page 1 with his
Yeah.
right up there, it's 2023 and 2020. So the 2025 was not heard.
Okay.
That's yeah.
Right, you're right. Thank you. That's
No
all my
problem.
questions.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any other questions other than Mr. Neufeld, you indicated that for the warehouse portion, the service area.
Yeah.
That's, you say, is the non-air conditioned piece, correct?
Right.
But you
Yes,
don't have
service.
you don't have any specific measurements.
No, again, yeah, I mean, rear portion, and again too, that was also to show the split of what's showroom and what's service. But the best I
Yeah.
had, I don't have the plans, but I did just do an aerial of
Yeah.
roughly 7,000, and that's not how we
Yeah.
measure these, obviously. But I
Yeah.
will say that the total air conditioned value of 16,134 is just is incorrect.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Okay. You did it on a blended rate basis, and I see that, and I see how you've looked to the TGS submission for that.
Mhm.
If you were to apply two rates, what would they be?
I was thinking about this in my head before. It would take me a couple seconds, but I can try to one in. Probably, like, again, without exact math, about 15, 8, and 8 or so. But in that range,
Okay.
yeah. I think you're doing much smaller rate on the service of 8 for an industrial, and then potentially 15 for the front.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I have no other questions. Mr. Deitchen, summation?
I guess just quickly, I feel that retail is the best comparable for the property, and our comparable is more than supported. And I don't think it's fair to look at other board orders from properties that aren't remotely close to the property. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Deitchen. Mr. Neufeld?
The blended rate that the city has of 1524 appears to be based solely on retail, and we have a large portion of this that isn't retail. It is, for all intents and purposes, completely industrial. It is service based. It is showrooms. I have brought forward service based and showrooms. With the lower quality is service based for car dealerships. Not very different than you would see with a car wash or another brake muffler shop, which would not be renting for 15 whatsoever. Would not be renting for 20, like a lot of the comps that were brought forward. And again, to touch on the concept of the area, these are virtually identical market regions in that they are auto malls, and they have very limited, actually no legal alternate uses at the moment, but very limited alternate uses should they all require it. If you see auto malls not functioning as they are and looking at the market and what would happen, exactly the same thing would happen to Waverly as Point West, which would be a lot of low quality, smaller rents for people on their local market, and then likely a lot of redevelopment or abandonment. So again, it's not perfect, but you're not, just because it's on Waverly in the south end of the city does not mean it's renting for more in Headingley. And honestly, those are still in similar regions, regardless. I think the $12 is much more fair than 1524. It makes a lot more sense for them. Good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld.
Can I go
Okay.
back and ask a question?
Well, we just
Okay.
went to summation, so
Yeah,
sorry,
okay.
you've sort of missed the
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Thanks.
missed the chance. Okay, that concludes item 4.
Yeah.
Item 5, file number
Oh, sorry,
24.
I actually have rebuttal too. I forgot.
Oh, pardon me,
I have a rebuttal that I submitted
for which item?
for this one and 1400 Keniston.
I never got anything.
Yeah, I will distribute it.
Okay, so wait a second. We have not concluded item number 4 because you say you have rebuttal, Mr. Deitchen.
That's correct.
Okay, then let's go back and deal with the rebuttal. And Ms. Picoto, has it been distributed?
I'm doing that right now. Okay, it should be in your SharePoint, and I've emailed it to Mr. Neufeld.
Okay, just give us a minute. We have to refresh. Mr. Neufeld, do you have the rebuttal?
No, nothing yet.
I have it.
Ms. McFadden, do you have it?
I don't see it yet. Oh, I see it now.
Okay.
While we're waiting, I have a 10 o'clock hearing that I guess I'm not gonna make. I just want to run over to Rocky's office and tell him he's doing it. It's okay.
Yeah, sure.
30 seconds. Yeah. We'll have that rebuttal here.
Okay. All right, Mr. Deitchen, on the rebuttal.
Okay, so yeah, this is just kind of was touching on, I was questioning about the comparables and some of the outdated leases and such. You could see that, just going through them quickly, first one, King Edward, had a step up to $11, comparable 6, up to $11.50, comparable 9. 231 Oak Point was up to $10.05, comparable 11. 3680 Portage up to $15, comparable 1275 Staticona up to $12.50, 13 750 Nairn 1274, comparable 14 720 Nairn up to $11.18. Well, comparable 19 was actually vacant in 2020. Comparable 20 1322 Waverly was up to $13.04 a square foot. And then on to the retail portion, there was just a few that I quickly look through. Comparable, well, it's not on the retail table, actually, it was on the rent comparables table, but 1441 Main actually had a new lease at 1075. Comparable 2, 2195 Pembina was up to 1075. Comparable 22 and 23 at 1290 Keniston were at $15 and $14.50 with the new step up leases. So I guess this is just showing that a lot of the leases that were used by the applicant to apply the rate or to support their rate were outdated and lower. And then continue on. Page 2 is more for, or is for 1400. Keniston rebuttal. Same with page 3. Skipping to page 5 is just quickly looking at the industrial comparables. I know the applicant didn't touch on too much, but I just wanted to show these pictures that these properties aren't remotely comparable to the subject property. And it even showed some of the maps just showing like the distance away from the subject. They aren't remotely close in proximity, nor the way they are built or used, I would say. And that is my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions on the rebuttal?
Yes. I guess just quickly to those ones that you're saying on that Bannatyne and Osborne, we're aware that those are basement rents, correct?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Those are more for the next property. I didn't really.
Okay. And then your comparable 9.
Mhm.
Sorry, my comparable 9. I guess on your first page.
Mhm.
Are you aware that's a former Harley dealership?
Sorry, which?
Former Harley dealership.
I'm not aware what it was.
And I guess sorry, did you see that it's now being operated as a used car dealer and service?
I'm not too sure what it's being used for right
Okay.
now.
And then for 11, that would be a Mazda dealer. Are you aware that that's a showroom only?
I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, and some of these other ones too, again, updated. These are fair to consider. Sure. I think we're looking at, I don't think this discredits what I'm saying. Am I allowed to, I guess in my summation, I'll address it.
Yeah, we'll have to redo a summation. here.
Yeah, fair enough.
No more questions, Mr. Neufeld?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McFadden?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none.
Okay, I don't either. So, Mr. Deitchen, would you like to re-summarize?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Newfeld?
Yes, thank you. I actually, a few of these rents I think are still very indicative of what we're saying, updated. The comparable 9 and 11, the sirs brought forward. I wish that I had that number for my brief at 231. That's a former auto dealer at 1005. Lower quality than the subject, but that's why we're at 12 and they're at 10. 3680 Portage is for a dealer operating with no service claims, just a showroom at $15. Really right, the same number I suggested.
Like summarizing your evidence, is it?
I am going through my
Just stick to just make it short, Mr. Newfeld.
Yeah, no, I think this rebuttal is useful, and I think that doesn't change at all what I'm saying, and I still think the $12 is talkable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that will conclude number 4. Item number 5. This is file number 24-5067, 1400 Kenniston Boulevard. Go ahead, Mr. Deitchen.
Okay, this one is, oops, sorry. This one's file number 24-5067, Rollers 2025. The address is 1400 Kenniston Boulevard. The business assessment ID is 51645. You can see this one's actually in 2 premises. The first one being the main area, and then the second one being the basement area. So the main area is at 1415 a square foot, and the basement area being 1135 a square foot. Excuse me. With the occupancy cost brings the total ARV for the two portions to 843,240. Again, you can see that just a little bit of the history. The 2020 was appealed, and the Board of Revision confirmed it. The 23 was appealed at 877,980, and it was confirmed as well. This is a vehicle dealership built in 2015. You can see the overview on page 2. Then the page 3 is just the exterior view. You can see it's the Mercedes-Benz dealership. Page 4 actually has some interior photos of the showroom floor. Page 5 is just the second floor office space. And then page 6 goes into the ramp area that goes into the basement area. So page 7 and 8 show the basement area. So it's kind of an extension of the service area that they bring in these cars to, I guess, get climatized and then go into the service area. So it's quite beneficial for this dealership. And I believe there's only maybe one other in the city that has this space in a dealership. Page 9 is just another picture of the basement. Oops. And page 10 has a couple other shots of the basement area. And then continue on again to pages 11 and forward are just the BCD rent comparables. Oops. Again, mainly looking at 42 to 60 of the Sterling Line, McGillivray, Northtown, Kenniston comparables, the retail comparables, averaging at 2151 a square foot with a weighted average of 2091 and a median of 2031. And then continue on, again, just page 15 is the municipal board order showing or stating that retail is comparable to the vehicle dealerships. And then page 16 forward is just the income and expense mailer. And that's my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deitchen. Mr. Newfeld, questions?
Yes, thank you. Were these your pictures, or was it another professor?
Yeah, these
Okay.
are from, yeah.
Do you know if he went into the service area? There's no pictures there.
These are the ones that I found. I didn't see any service area ones, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. I guess the questions of the last one will be carried forward with just a quick recap. I know your rents that you have are retail. There's no service base. Is that correct?
Sorry?
Your rents are for retail. There's no service garages in your rent study here.
I would say it's comparable to warehouse and loading areas.
Yeah, but none of them are service space, right?
No, but I would say that they're comparable to the warehouse areas in
Right.
retail.
Are any of them basement?
I'm not too sure if any of them have basement, honestly.
Well, does a warehouse typically have a basement? Is it
I,
retail warehouse?
don't know if any of them have.
Are any of your leases do they include basement area for them if they do have basement?
Uh,
Renting at $15 to $25.
I'm not too sure, as I said.
Subject has an unusual parcel of land, is that correct?
Can you repeat the question?
Is the parcel of land weirdly, strangely configured, unusually configured?
I mean, it's a slightly different shape, but yeah, I don't know.
Would you be able to get a high yield on as much of it as you would for something that was square or rectangular?
I can't comment on that. I'm not too sure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Ms. McFadden, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
Yes, thanks. Is the customer allowed to go into the basement to look at those cars that are stored there?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not too sure.
Because it's to my way of thinking, is it kind of like a dealership with a big outdoor lot, and that's where they store the new cars, and the customer can roam in amongst the cars and look at them?
The way I understood it was that cars go down there if they're going for service. So like in the winter, they could thaw off and melt and get climatized and then go for service. But yeah, I'm not too sure about like
Okay.
storing the cars. It looks like there's a lot of cars. Yeah, I'm not too sure besides that.
It's a really large space, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge space. Yeah.
Is
I'm assuming
that
they probably keep some cars down there too, like new cars, but yeah, I'm not too sure.
the one you've characterized as 16,618 square feet?
Yeah, that's correct. The
Yeah.
second premise.
Okay. And your comps are all the same as what we saw before, right?
That's correct.
Okay, it's all retail.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. No other questions?
Thank you. I have no questions either. Mr. Neufeld?
Yeah. The subject is a Mercedes dealership. You are correct. This is essentially the showroom is not in the basement. Regular customers aren't going in there, but if you buy your car and you're waiting for it, it's down there. It's not impossible for a customer to go down there, but typically they aren't going through it. Then I do want to take you to my page 6. This is showing the showroom again. I don't know what Rocky was doing with that picture, but there would be similar showroom space to typical to, or much like the last one. You can see that they've got those fabric bays that they've got, and industrial space in the back. There's storage. The racking was just in case that was considered rentable by the city, but it wasn't, so that's not really relevant. But it is storage, service in the back, and showroom in the front. This one's a new dealer, so we did apply 13 as an average. We didn't want to go too much higher though, because again, the land area, if you can see my page 2, that's it kind of works for them because they're parking cars all the way up Caniston for people to see, but that is not a good configuration at all. You're not fitting anything else on there other than cars. So kind of creative way of dealing with a very unusual parcel. But it is not something that the market would be highly sought after for that, just for that land component alone. But again, same concept, showroom in the front, service bay in the back. Service bay and the basement are not air conditioned, as they do have makeup air for cars. We are getting about 22,602 for the AC area, and that would be the showroom. Again, the basement was a direct measurement, but the 3, you can see how I did the showroom again, which isn't perfect, but roughly 13,600 square feet. The same is being applied for my rents. I will update my 231 will point at 1005, which I think is again very good rent and indicative of the subject because it is a former dealer. Of course, my 3680 showroom only 7,200 square feet, smaller than the subject at 15. This fits our what we're getting at. The page 13, not the greatest basement comparables as the assessor has brought forward, and that is a very fair point. But again, basement comps, you're not going $11 for a basement. This is an unfinished garage that's essentially no different than underground parking for a mall, or sorry, a office tower. You're not getting $11 rents on that space. So they rent unit stall, but of course this is being used for their use, so it wouldn't be the similar style of income approach, but we would be looking at the area. You can argue that this is basement has no value, of course, because it would be useful to them, but you'd be looking at a much lower rate than $11 if you're renting that. Their city is suggesting about $188,000 to rent that basement out. There's really no evidence that somebody's paying almost $200,000 a year for something like that. We put on 4. 5 would be applicable too. I don't think it's a big. It's not low quality space, but it is basement, and it's not unusable space, but it is basement. It's low finish, and it's a looking gosh. It's not. I think 4 or 5 is much more suitable. $13 on the main, 4 on the basement gets us $658, $830, and that's with the AC taken out of the shop estimated area and the basement actual area. Rest of my argument from my comparables would be the same. We went a buck higher because this is newer, and that is my argument. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Deitchen, questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I guess most of my questions carry over from the last one. Just looking at I might have missed it, but it looks like your occupancy costs aren't updated. They might be from last cycle. Is that correct?
Oh, the rates?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Good call. I didn't see that. Okay, so that will come up a bit. I'll run that through and change it unless you have it.
The rates
Calculate.
have them on the first page there.
No, yeah, I'm just wondering if you calculate it, but yeah, no, I'll give you a calculation. Thank you for that.
I guess my other question is, again, how did you calculate the AC? And are you sure that the basement area does not have AC? Because I think it does.
When you have that many cars and an exhaust, you can air condition the space. There's an exhaust pulling out all the air. So that isn't an air conditioned space, and it would not be. I mean, you'd essentially be air conditioning something that's immediately getting sucked up with exhaust. So it's just not possible, and I have no indication that it is AC.
But you don't need anything to show one way or the other.
Well, I mean, I'm looking just to see if they've got. I have no plans showing it, no, but I mean, again, you can't air condition a garage. So I would I'd argue that understanding of air systems would be my argument. Nothing, no pictures of a lack of AC, no.
And then I guess looking at your, page 13, your basement comparables. I believe the first one is a retail shopping center. The other 2 are offices. Is that correct?
No, not perfect basement comps. Anyway, I think you're not going to find a comp of this nature. Just the idea that basement doesn't rent. I think you'd be looking at $10 to $15, just guessing based on my knowledge, but you'd be looking at $10 to $15 for those properties on the main floor, give or take. And then the basement's significantly lower.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
If you're in an office or a retail portion, like say for example, these 3 basements, they would be renting much higher on the upper the basement rents, and that's really what I'm getting at. There is no perfect comps for us to to value this.
Okay, so these comps aren't very good then for this subject.
They're basement. I mean, they're better than the retail ones you brought forward.
Well, but they're not even remotely close to the subject in proximity, and they're not in the same property type, correct?
No, but again,
Okay, that's
when you're looking at retail without basements, they're much closer than the ones in the assessment departments.
Are there any other dealerships that have a basement area like this that uses it like this, I guess?
I haven't been in any. You had mentioned that there might be one in the city. To my knowledge, I didn't know about it, but I wouldn't argue with you if you have one that you're saying is doing it similarly.
Yeah, I think the only other one in the city is the Audi dealership, both kind of higher end. Would you not agree that this is kind of very valuable to the dealership and to the customers then? And
I mean, they did it for a reason, but it doesn't make it worth $11. It makes it worth what the market would value it at. It's better than not having it, sure. But it's not worth 200 grand, $188,000 a year.
Right. So I guess my point is, how did you apply $4 when you got your comparables that aren't very good, that you say that are probably going to be renting at less anyways? So how do you apply
Just we generally put $4 on a basement. It's again, like I said, five. If the panel went to five, I think that's fair too. You're just not like I said that you're not. I'm not finding a garage comp under a dealer. That doesn't exist. I think I had thought about this in the way in the other day. Our um, you could maybe do it as an income approach and look at how many you could legally park. Of course, there's no demand for parking under a Mercedes dealership, but do it similarly to how an office tower would do it. And then you'd be looking at much lower rents than 92 that is applied. But I mean, the best way to compare this to the market, as closest to be, would be a downtown office underground parking, but with no demand. This is not a perfect way of doing it. We're doing it on an income approach in the area that is used. That's the closest thing our market would consider usable to space than that parent.
Right, but usually isn't the $4 applied to basement rents that are like unusable or just more like storage spaces?
No, not always. I mean, this is what how does this differ greatly from storage or storing cars under in a basement? It's usable to them, but it's again, when you're renting this out, why would this be anything better than storage?
Okay. And you're mentioning, I think you just quickly touched on 3680 Portage being just showroom. Just looking at the pictures now, it looks like they have like a garage door and stuff on the back. Are you sure that doesn't have any service on it?
I was looking, yeah, I think the garage door would be to get into the showroom. It's 7,200 square feet, so
So it might have storage or a service bay on the back.
can you point me to it?
Sorry?
Can you point me to the service bay?
Well, can you show me that it doesn't? Like it
Well,
has
again,
Yeah,
I don't have pictures for the panel to consider. What I'm looking at is a small, very small dealer.
So it could have a service bay then. Okay.
I mean, I guess maybe 1,000 square feet, just based on a different roof line. But I'm if you're working on one car, that's very useful to them.
Okay. I guess one other question I want to ask about your page 12, because I'm assuming you use these workups from TGS Realty again. Is there a reason that you chose these ones and not any in the close proximity? Because I know there's a handful in the Waverly, even the ones on this docket that had border revision orders.
They were all appealed, and we disagreed with the decision. This is a decision that we were happy with, and what we would be asking the municipal board to uphold.
A lot of those were confirmed assessments then. Is that why they weren't?
Yeah, no, we've got confirmed ones here today.
Okay, that's all the questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
Yes, just one. You mentioned the $13 rate in relation to 2015 building versus your number 4 evidence, where you used $12 for 2014 building. Was that building a makeover or was that a new building in 2014?
Sorry, which is the 2014, the 520?
520, 1717 Waverly.
Yeah, I think, no, we did, Waverly on the Mall, we did all at 12. And then Jerry Gordon's was the one that was built far later than the rest of the subject, so,
Okay.
yeah, we just did the whole mall, but looking at this one, it's 13. It's a bit nicer, honestly. The Jerry Gordon's was done very basically. And then it's in an area with other ones of the older, closer to the turn of the century. But no, that's a good call. 2014.
Yep, that's
Based
fine.
on age alone, yeah, that's that, yeah.
Thanks for the clarification. No other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Ms. McFadden?
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and nor do I. So, Mr. Deitchen, you also have your rebuttal evidence. It's the same evidence that you've introduced previously?
Yeah, except for there's a couple other pages that,
Okay. If you could maybe focus on the new information.
yeah.
Sorry, just a
Huh?
sec. Is it the same rebuttal?
Yeah,
Read the same
Same.
package?
Mhm.
same
Okay,
package.
okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Deitchen.
Yeah, so it's just mainly looking at pages 2 and 3. For some reason, page 4 got deleted completely. But anyways, it's just showing quickly that that these properties aren't even remotely comparable in terms of what they are used for and how they're built and in proximity. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld?
No questions on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, questions on the rebuttal?
No, thanks.
Ms. McFadden?
No, thank you.
Okay, I have no questions either. Mr. Deitchen, would you care for summation?
Yeah, I guess again, just going back to our comparables, I think that retail's the closest comparable we have in terms of showroom floor, warehouse area being similar to a dealership having the showroom floor and service areas. And I think with this one specifically, that the basement area is very valuable area. And it's an extension of the service area of the building, and it all runs in tandem together. And I believe that our assessed values are more than fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deitchen. Mr. Neufeld, summation?
Yes, please. I won't argue that my basement rents aren't perfect because there really aren't rents that are perfect for this. But again, the city's brought forward retail warehouses with no basement. They are retail rents. They did not consider, on our view, the showrooms adequately. Sorry, the service bays adequately. These are warehouses, retail warehouses that might have a small loading dock, but they're not seeing half of it with service bays. And again, we have no comparables in the city, even remotely, that attribute to this basement area. They're essentially using retail rents at $11 for it, from what I can see. It's not unfair to point out that my basement comps aren't perfect, and that's, again, I agree, but we're not applying a retail rate on a main floor warehouse to this basement. The rest of that is again to my I think the comparable brought forward. Yeah, the revisions for some of these leases are still very suitable. And that's why we're requesting 13 on the blended for the showroom and the service bays, and then $4 in the basement. And then I do have my updated occupancy costs.
Okay.
Total request now is 669,090.
669,090.
Correct.
That's your
then-
total ARV.
Total ARV, yeah, and then the occupancy cost will go up to 131,775.
Okay, and that's on the updated numbers using
Yes,
using the reduced number for the AC portion in the basement.
yes, the same area for the AC portion, but the correct dated values, because I was using 2023 in the brief that you have in front of you.
Okay, thank you.
And yep, thank you.
Thank you very much. That will conclude item number 5. Item number 6, This is file number 24-5131, 950 Regent Avenue West. Mr. Deitchen.
Okay, so this one's file number 24-5131. The roll year is 2025. The address is 950 Regent Avenue West. The business assessment ID is 33664. This is one premise, 15,620 square feet with an occupancy cost of 39,557. Brings the ARV to 256,380. You can again see that the 2020 BA was appealed and confirmed. 23 was appealed and confirmed. You can see a bit of the property description. It was built in 2003. You can see on page 2 is just the exterior and overhead view of the property. Page 3 is just another exterior or overhead view of the property. You go on to page 4 is the Board of Revision Realty Order. You can see that it was reduced from 3,491,000 to 3,026,000. And on page 5, this was based on the decision of the NOI presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department, and the cap rate is 6.75%.
Thank you, Mr. Deitchen. I think, am I correct, Mr. Neufeld, in saying that you may be requesting confirmation on this one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Do you have any more to add then, Mr. Deitchen, or do you want to end it there?
I was just going to quickly go through because
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
So
of
it's the
course.
same comparables. I wasn't going to touch too much on that. But then going on to page 11, I actually put in the 2025 realty info from the applicant, and you can see that they
Okay.
applied $12 a square foot on this property that's built in 2003. So I think it's kind of interesting that they're applying $12 to much superior properties in better locations. Again, you can see that they use the same comparables, but that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, questions?
Yes, you calling which one? Sorry, a better location and area, the 520 Waverly and
Let's say 14
14
This is a much newer and better location. Yeah.
newer and better. Okay, is anybody renting in Waverly nearby?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. And people renting on Regent?
Renting what? What are we talking about?
Anything? Is there rental properties on Regent Avenue?
I'm not speaking to that because I'm not too sure.
Let's
Like,
let's
no.
keep our questions to this particular property, 950.
I am. I'm responding to his comments that he
Yeah,
of
I understand.
comparing the areas. Do people rent properties on Regent Avenue?
Yeah, they rent in both areas, sure.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread,
I have none.
Ms. McFadden,
I have no questions.
thank you, nor do I. Mr. Neufeld,
Yes, thank you. The Waverly Auto Malls are not.
okay, we are dealing with Regent
I'm,
Avenue right now.
I understand, and I'm dealing with his comments that to compare them as a better area, there's nobody renting anything nearby in that auto mall. Regent is a rented, well-established retail corridor. There's really no suggestion that these are better areas. And
Okay.
I take exception to that comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Neufeld, are you requesting confirmation?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay, let's conclude item number 6 and move on to item 7, our last item on the agenda. Mr. Deitchen.
Great. This one's file number 24-5132. Roll year's 2025. Address is 964 Regent Avenue West. Business assessment ID is 6806. You can see this is 2 premises, totaling an ARV of 921,060. You can see the 2020 BA was appealed and confirmed. The 23 was appealed and reduced, but it was appealed by the Assessment Taxation Department to the Municipal Board. You can see that this was built in 1967 to 2002. I'm not going to go through too much more, but I just wanted to quickly touch on that. You can see that our VCD comparables, our retail, our average for the region area is 1785. And then for the Keniston area is 2151. So I think that's enough proof to show that the areas are different. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deitchen. Mr. Neufeld.
Yeah, which portion of this is showroom and which one is service?
I have to double check. I think I wrote that down. Oh, sorry, this one's two buildings. So the first pit is the on page 2, you can see it's like the showroom and then a bit of service, and the second building is a auto body and glass, I believe, building.
So that's the 1203 is on the auto body.
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
That's 900 square feet plus air conditioned only. So that's what the city has for that.
That's what it looks like. Yep.
And with the building built.
Mr. Neufeld, any other questions?
Yes, sorry, when was this building built? Each of them?
They were built, I don't know specifically, but 67 to 2002. So there must have been multiple building dates. I'm not sure.
Thank you, those are my questions.
Thank you. Ms. McFadden,
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread,
And I have none, thank you.
and nor do I. Mr. Neufeld.
No, thank you, other than to point out the air conditioned area is much similar to what I'm arguing with these other ones where they don't have the automotive portions air conditioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And are you requesting confirmation on this, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, please, it is at the municipal board for realty.
Okay, thank you. All right. I have no other questions. So that will conclude item number 7. And with that, we have heard all items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Deitchen and Mr.
Thank you.
Neufeld.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Lynn, I'm just going to take a minute here.